Howdy folks. Today we're looking at what might be a keeper. This is one of a interesting kind of genre of amps. You can see it's labeled 4-channel stereo, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's also not quadraphonic, for those who are making that assumption. It's actually set up to work with, I'm not sure if you can read here, with a 4-channel 8-track. So it has on the back discrete inputs for front and rear, or sorry, outputs for the speakers because I can read. And then over here, you've got the inputs for your 4 quote-unquote 8-track channels. So I've been doing 4.0 surround sound in my office for years now using a pair of those little tripath amps, and I've got a little USB box that I'll link down in the description, which does the does the breakout, so I can put in any digital signal and it breaks it out into, 7.1, 5.2, 4.0, whatever you like. And I'm doing 4.0 with the HPM 1500s in the front and the HPM 150s in the back. I figure with, that many big ass woofers, I don't need to be running an actual subwoofer. And yeah, I've been driving with those little tripath guys. And I've been interested in having a, nice looking piece of kit to sit on the desk that would do 4-channel. And I thought I was going to have to really shell out the big dollars for quadraphonic, which was a little bit sad considering I don't have a whole ton of interest in the actual quadraphonic decoder and quadraphonic records and things like that. It's interesting, but it's a novelty. It's not a direction I'm going to go. But once I stumbled into these things, they're really not popular. You can get them for not a lot of money because, again, they don't do the quad decoding. But yeah, it seems like it'll meet my needs. It'll make a cute little monitor stand, I hope, in addition to putting out some nice sound. So yeah, assuming it sounds good, this one's gonna probably, like I said, be a keeper for me. So the gentleman that I picked this up from, he said that he plugged it in, powered it on, and just made sure it would turn on, and that's all the farther he's gone with testing. I did notice when unpacking it that it's got something that rattles around inside. So before I plug it in, I want to take the case off and, go and explore, find whatever it is that's rattling around in there, take it out, make sure it's not anything that's going to short anything out. So I think that's where we're going to get started today. Let's see, it doesn't look like there's actually any way to take the case off. Looks like we start by taking the bottom off. Then you can hear whatever's rattling around in there. Another interesting novelty on this thing before I take it apart. This is something I'm going to have to look up. This looks very much like a grounding lug on the otherwise ungrounded, unpolarized power cord. I was thinking maybe it was designed to go to a grounding lug, over here somewhere or something like that, but maybe it's supposed to go on the wall or the audio rack that you would mount this thing on. I'm gonna have to do some research on this, and if I can figure anything out about this, I'll add it to the video in post. All right, let's start taking this apart. So you would think now that the bottom panel would come off, given that those were the only screws. Another one of the problems with, didn't expect that. With this sort of equipment is you can never really tell how it's going to come apart. It wasn't really designed to be taken apart, but all right. So that That also explains, hang on, let me see, I'm not going to try and talk and take this thing apart at the same time. There we go. Okay. So what I was starting to say there is that explains why this hole for the power cord is so big. It's because the case slips over. That's kind of fun. All right. So now you can see here we've just got a bunch of holes, which, you know, line up with everything going on in back here. This doesn't look like it'll be too bad to fix. I might try just CA gluing that back together, and if that doesn't work, I may print up a new little piece there. But let's look at what else has fallen out. We have some little plastic bits that look like they were a part of that. We have some metal, you know, a little metal wire that's not so good. And then we've got, yeah, this again looks like it's a, you know, it's a fork that goes over one of these terminals. Could have been for a ground or for something else, but definitely not something you want rolling around inside of your electronics when you power it up, shorting out random things. So glad to have that out of there. All right, so now turn this around so I can see the front. Just gonna stare at it here for a minute and see if anything looks burned up. Again, before powering it on, I just like to take a quick look over things. One of the wire wraps here is a little bit loose. I don't have a wire wrap tool at the moment, so I can't do much about that looks any good. But maybe we'll have to rectify that situation. Okay, let's see, what else have we got here? See a little spring for when you overshoot the tuning dial. It's kind of cute. Then it just runs the spring into the dial over here. That's fun. Yeah, not that I'm really planning on using this thing as a tuner, but yeah, it's still fun to. I'm always amused at these electromechanical systems that, you know, you've got transistors and capacitors and like all kinds of, you know, interesting space age, you know, electronics going on here, and then you've got a piece of string going on some pulleys to connect, you know, over here to over there. That has always amused me about older receivers. All right, well, nothing in here is jumping out at me as particularly scary. So I guess we'll take it in steps here. We will plug it in, turn it on, see if it turns on, which I've seen pictures of it running, so it should turn on at least, and we can at least see the dial light up. And then if that all works, then the next thing we'll do is hook it up to some speakers, give it an input, and, you know, see what we can do with it. All right, so let me make sure I'm not touching anything here that's gonna kill me. Tip it up so you can see it, and flip it on. Look at that. Nice, pretty, you know, green display there. Let's see, it looks like it might have a bulb out on the right-hand side. Let me see, can we see what's going on in there? Oh, they've got it inside a little metal shield, so I can't really see what's going on. Let's see, it looks like there are, yeah, the bulbs are right here. And it looks like two of them are pretty bright, and one of them is,
I can't tell if it's burnt out or if it's just dim. I think it's actually is burnt out. I'm not sure if these are, let me get a plastic pokey thing. If these are sockets, they look like, you know, slightly smaller than candelabra sockets. So that might be what that is. I'm hoping that the bulb isn't just soldered to this little board here. But we'll investigate that in a little bit. And we'll probably replace these with LEDs because, you know, the old incandescent bulbs get really hot and you don't need any more heat, you know, inside of these things than they already have. So, you know, if I can figure out how to get this metal cover off, hopefully without having to, this should be fun. Yeah, because the string is mounted, this pulley is mounted to the cover here. So getting this off to be able to get to the bulbs could be non-trivial. It may actually be faster to, if I pull these screws out here, I might be able to take the faceplate off and then go in from this side, leaving the box here mounted to the rest of the chassis. So we may explore that option as well. Let's see. And then last kind of interesting thing in order to be able to hook up speakers. This thing has RCA jacks for its speakers. This was pretty common in lower end systems. Especially systems that were kind of came in all in one. Like if you bought a stereo in a box that had a record player, a receiver, and some speakers that all went together, it was really common for those to have RCA terminals. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot of the history of this particular unit. I'm going to have to do some digging into this model, get some information together. I'll post something over on the project site about it. Once I know a little more, but for the immediate term, I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I might cut up an RCA cable, but I don't know if I have a decent quantity of spare RCA cables around to do that with. But that might be what I do. Otherwise, I'll just, you know, jam wires in holes and hold the grounds on the outside, and yeah, it'll be stupid, but it'll work. So yeah, I guess let me poke around a bit and see what I can find. And yeah, we'll one way or another get some speakers hooked up. All right, so after exploring my piles of junk for a while, I have come to the conclusion that I do not have a RCA cable that I can chop in half today. So that goes on the Amazon list, because this isn't something I'm going to want to do every time, but I can probably do something really kind of lame here. Let's set that up there so that I can see what this is supposed to look like. You can't see it, but I can. So I'm looking to just read what the terminals on the back are. Interesting. I just noticed this one does not have a phono input. It doesn't have the preamp. So it's my only real options are the 8-track and the 8-track, and it's got a aux in, it looks like. So that'll be interesting. That may be a factor that keeps this from being my official daily driver. I may need to look for another one of these 4 channels that does have a phono input, even if not
quadraphonic, but just so that I can listen to my normal records even with just 2 speakers. All right. Put on a little PowerPCMe. I reached out to him on Twitter earlier today and asked if it would be cool if I used some of his tracks for demo, and got the go-ahead, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I'll have links to his SoundCloud, Bandcamp, things like that down in the description. You should totally check his stuff out. Well, that's a non-trivial amount of just noise. Okay, so that channel works. About this one. All right, not a lot of ungainly noise on this one. Let's see. Slide this up here a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So that slider is about dead, but we can probably clean that up with just some deoxit. All right, let's see if I can get, if I twist these two together, and hopefully the case is ground. Restart my track here. Let's see. All right, definitely have noise on the left side. Even with the balance all the way to the right, we've still got noise on the left. There's no detent for the balance either, which is a little annoying. Rear volume slider shouldn't have any impact right now, but indeed it doesn't. Checking to see if any of my noise is just from lousy connections from not having the RCA jacks. Interestingly, it does go all the way up as hard as it can go and keeps clear. It doesn't distort out. It also can't push hard enough to make the JBLs upset, unlike the Technics 8044 we were just playing with. So, you know, it's not going to win any raw power competitions, but as far as, you know, being listenable, it's really not half bad. So from here, I want to try the rears. So real official here. Tag that on there. Interesting. My front volume slider is doing more to control the rear volume than my rear volume slider. Does let a little bleed through. But I've got a really non-trivial amount to bleed over from the front. Oh wait, I'm an idiot. So that's just cross. If I actually run my input into the rears, because I'm smart like that. Let's see, now do we get actual rear volume control? Okay. Okay. It feels like this slider has a lot of the same issues as the one for the front. So let's see how bad the bleed is in the other direction. Yeah. So that's the fronts with full power on the rear and no signal going to the front. So a little bit of bleed over there as well. So I think the first thing I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to clean up those sliders. Hopefully it's not anything actually, you know, mechanically wrong with them, and they're just going to need some deoxit will probably do it. Let me see how these things even. Yeah, there's no easily getting to them. Yeah, because they're totally encased up in here. But I can probably, yep, just shoot some deoxit. Let's see. Yeah, you can't see here. I can just get right up in here. Clean the extra off the faceplate here. Deoxit is supposed to be safe for pretty much every material these things were made out of, so I'm not too concerned here, but you know, we want to be tidy. Just trying to wear them in a little bit while So what was making it cut in and out was actually lifting it up and down. So I'm trying to wear it in a little bit, holding it up and holding it down, get it all clean in wherever it might be rubbing. All right, and then we'll just let that sit for a couple of minutes. And once that's set and dried, we will plug our janky speaker wires back in and see if it is any cleaner, has less, noise when moving the controls and all of that good stuff. So we'll just magic of YouTube that over to 2 minutes from now. Actually, instead of that, I think while we're waiting for that, let's see if we can take the face off here easily enough, get to those bulbs and investigate those. There's probably more screws on the bottom. Let's see. Let's go this way. Got two with a washer, one without. Something tells me somebody's had this thing apart before. This little cover here kind of looks like crap too. We'll investigate that in a bit. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, that looks like that wants to come off. But do these pull off? Twist off? There we go. Okay. So we'll just start setting these up. Now, oh, that got us partway there. So now we get to be more careful. Let's see, if we're going to take this guy off without messing up the needle here, and of course I would like to be able to slide it down because the needle is hooked over the top, but this thing's in the way. That's fun. All right, well, let's keep taking out screws and see if we can wiggle it out. Oh, all right. Wasn't exactly expecting that. Okay, so that comes off. Then does this move? Say, what is holding this now? There we go. Not much. Time and grime. Oop. There we go. So if I take that all the way over there. There we go. It's pretty cool, huh? You can see the burn mark from the stereo bulb, so we'll want to replace that with a LED as well. But yeah, now we can get to these, maybe. See if they'll come out. I'm not convinced this one was actually seated. Let's see, come on, focus.
let's try, let's see, are any of these actually screwed in? Yeah, that seems like it's more in there. This one just might not have been actually screwed in. Let's see. Ah, that's what it is. It's just, it's loose. So. Its filament does appear to be intact. So let's just set it back down in there. See if it wants to work. I've still got liquid deoxit coming out of things, so I don't want to plug this back in just yet. Let's see, what else can we look at while we're here? Yeah, this rear input here. Let's see, what can we do with this? Trying not to set it down on the on its sliders. There we go. So yeah, it'll probably be easiest to just print up a new little plate there with the gaps where they need to be. I can probably base it off of this one. I mean, or I could even base it off of just this side because it's obviously symmetrical. And then the jacks here, it's just, they're set up to go through the holes and then fold down underneath. So nothing too complex there. It's really a question of if I care enough to fix it. If I'm going to keep it, I don't think I care enough to fix it because, you know, I'm not going to use that input anyway. But if I'm going to sell it, then I should fix it because, you know, it's the right thing to do. All right, after a little time travel magic, it's been about an hour now, so I'm sure the deoxit has dried and is happy, so we shouldn't have any issues applying power now. But I also discovered something else that I want to play with before we get there. So it turns out that these little grommets are kind of the only thing holding this thing together. So you can actually wiggle this piece out. You got to be careful of the little capacitors down here that you don't catch on them, but you can wiggle this guy out and it will come out with the bulbs on it. And you don't actually have to take the front off at all. And then the other thing that I found was the reason this one is loose, if you see here, you know, you put it in and it just spins, is because, if you flip this around, hope you can see here, this is just kind of not one piece. I'm not sure, looking at the other ones, I don't know if this is supposed to be, you know, how it's supposed to be attached together. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little daub of solder on it. I think that's what I'm going to do, so I need to go find a little clamp or tiny vice grips or something that I can hold that closed with to put a little dollop of solder on it right there to hold it together. So I think we'll start with that, and then the next thing I want to do is check what the
what the polarity here is. Actually, this is probably pretty straightforward. Let's see. Yeah, the plus is, looks like it's going to the middle. Let's see, it looks like these things are attached on the outside. Yeah, it looks like plus is going to the middle and then ground is going to the outside, like we would hope. I'm looking at, I need to order some LEDs. I'm probably going to play around with a few different colors and see what looks good, start getting into, you know, kind of that whole modernization thing, getting away from the green. Because if you look at this thing, you can't really see, let's see, I doubt you can see the colors here. You actually kind of can. This will show up actually quite blue if you put a white light behind it, as opposed to the green that it shows up with the soft light. So, you know, it'll be kind of fun to play with it with different colored LEDs behind it and see how that all comes out. So yeah, but we'll have to get to that at some point in the future, but it'll be easy to do, you know, even with the machine mostly together now that we know that this comes out the back. So I guess while we're in here, let's go ahead and clamp that thing together and solder it back closed, and then we'll move on to next steps from there. All right, so my vice grips and tiny clamps and things seem to be nowhere to be found, so I'm going to try out a different toy. This is a one-handed soldering gun. I have never used this thing, so I don't know how well this is going to work, but it should free up one of my hands to be able to clamp this thing shut. That might do the job. Yeah, this thing goes on the definitely maybe list. Let's set it aside for the moment. And let's see if we can now screw a bulb into this effectively. Hey, look at that. Okay. And then with that gingerly sitting so that it's not running into anything, let's try powering it up and seeing if all three lights light now. Hey, look at that. Still looks like that one's more dim than the other two. But at least it's on. It's not coming out. So then we should be able to stick that back in its home. Put the whole kind of front end back together. Before I start putting this back together, let's actually let's take a listen. Turn this thing around without. Oh yeah, that has no labeling on it, because the labeling is on this. So I'm just going to set that up here, and so that I can see it, reference it. No, maybe not. Let's try putting it there, so I can reference it. Okay. So in the back, it's all back up on the table. In the back, okay, so we know that the front is on top and right is on the left. Okay, so that's our input. You can ignore that guy. Then our output is, in case you're hearing the sound quality change, I'm playing around with microphones. I've got a lav that I'm just starting to play with thanks to our friend Luminous Polychem. And I'm still very much getting used to it, so you may hear clips where I'm back on the phone audio because I forgot to hook the lav up, or various fun things like that. So anyways, let's see. Right and left for front. Doesn't really matter which side is which here. But I would like for this to be a solid connection. I'll come back over here with some input source. Let's see, make sure we're balanced. Tone should be somewhere in the middle. Volume's all the way down. Kick that on, make sure we're set to, oh yeah, not that one, this one is set to our 8-track. And then we can bring up the fronts. Look at that. So, no more scratching, no more cutting in and out. So I'm going to play with this tone control a little bit. Seems to me like the lows stay the same, and all this is doing is taking the highs out. Here, have a listen. Yeah, that makes me think I'm just going to leave the tone all the way up. Good, no scratching there. All right, now let's try. We'll take our volume all the way down, and let's try our rears. This one's still a bit sticky. But not nearly as noisy as it was. Okay, yeah, I would say overall, I am pretty happy with that. I think I'm going to put it back together for today, and we'll order some LEDs to replace these just for funsies. I don't even think I have to, but we'll do that just for fun. And yeah, I think I will order some LEDs, get myself a RCA cable that I can cut in half and use it for speaker cables for this thing, and we'll hook it up to the HPMs in its real home. And but that'll all be a different video. But for this one, before leaving y'all today, I am going to go ahead and put this thing back together. Make sure it all works still. Once it looks like a receiver again, instead of just a pile of parts on the bench. Okay, yeah, so this piece is centered by the outer bracket. Controls where it can go. So because the sides here are slots, and the bottom one is not, I'm going to leave the slots loose until this guy is positioned and in. And then that pretty much determines where the slots have to be. So I'll go ahead and tighten that one up. And then the last thing I want to look at before let's go this way. The last thing I want to look at before putting the cover back on is I want to see what's under here, because this is horrible. I got whatever that wire is being crushed. Let's see if we can see. First off, I want to look and see if it's, yeah, no, it looks like the insulation is intact, which is good. But, yeah, same over there, but that's, you definitely don't like seeing pinched wires like that. This should definitely go under there so that that's not running into anything. And then, like, what is this all about? This looks like this is supposed to have an actually metal cover, and somebody replaced it with a piece of, you know, freaking cardboard. Shiny cardboard nonetheless, and it looks like it's glued on that back side instead of, it looks like it's supposed to have, where did my plastic pointer thing go? Looks like it's supposed to have tabs that come in up under here, and instead somebody just like glued this piece of shiny paper here, which is, you know, fantastic, and has it pinching the wiring here. So yeah, I would say this is definitely not stock, but about the best thing I can do is make sure the wires are at least underneath it. I don't see any real reason that needs to be particularly covered. There's nothing, you know, I mean, it's protected on the bottom, so I don't see a lot of, you know, like what makes this any different than that as far as, you know, needing to be protected from the bottom. So, you know, we'll just put the screw back in and say maybe that's how it's supposed to be, and it's probably not a big deal. Okay, so now let's see, I guess before we put it back in the case, what do we have coming off here? the plastic for this ferrite here is coming apart. Shake out the bits. It's always fun. This is just plastic, you know, bakelite kind of stuff. That's not gonna short anything out, so that's good. Okay. What was I doing here? I was putting the knobs back on. Let's see, do either of these have, yeah, this one has the actual pointer thing. So it's currently set to 8-track. So that should go over there. Let's see, yeah, 2-channel. Let's see, FM, AM. Let's see, okay, if that's FM, let's see if we can go straight up and down. What are our options? Nope, we've got a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. We don't have a tooth that's actually pointed exactly where we need it. I wonder if that's something that can be adjusted. Yeah, I could probably get in there and futz with it if I really, really cared. But for now, we're just gonna put it there. So it's just a scooch counterclockwise, because my other option is a scooch clockwise. Let's see, how does that look? Looks better on the AM side. No, but looks worse on the left side, and being that I'm generally going to have it on the left side, I want it to look better over there. Okay, so that's that. If I do wind up selling this thing, I will probably, you can see right in here, there's a little nut that tightens this thing on, and I bet I can loosen that and then turn the whole switch assembly that, you know, 1 degree or whatever to get it actually aligned with the aligned with the marks on the front. The tuning knob doesn't have a mark, so it doesn't matter how it goes. It's just infinite. And then these are all the same, and just press back on there. Okay. Now, in an abundance of not expecting things to work, let's do one more test and just make sure it lights up before we put the cover back on and make it difficult to get to the lights and such. All right, so there you go. Now you can see that it is looking notably better over here. It's still not perfect. I do think that bulb is dimmer than the others. But like I said, we're going to replace them all with LEDs. We'll try a few different colors, see how it looks. And, you know, like I said, that'll be another video. So, okay, back to finishing putting this back together. So now we just fish that out there. And we've got to be careful of this thing, which I still need to look into what that's all about. And we should be able to just kind of shove that in there. Pull that out the back. Oh, what are we sticking on? Ah, our broken aux jack. That would make sense. Pull that guy down out of the way. All right. Oop. Oh no, it looks like, there we go. Got a little bit too much power cord going on here.
What all are we catching on?
There we go.
Okay.
Should be able now to put the feet back on.
Okay.
So now that we are back together, oh, I don't have a good easy way to clip to ground anymore. Okay, everything terrible right now. Yeah, everything terrible that you're hearing is because of my horrible speaker connections, not because of the actual amplifier. Alright, so we're going to call that test a wash because, yeah, I can't get a good ground. I'm going to have to actually chop up an RCA cable and make some, make some speaker extensions that way. My volume slider is pretty terrible. The others, that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. Yeah, both of my volume sliders are still pretty crusty, so I'll probably work on them a little bit more offline. But yeah, the next time we see this thing, it'll be playing with LEDs and putting it in its official home. And yeah, I guess that will do for today, and we will see you in the next one.